All right, sports fans, it's time for another edition of the Sports Couch, a look at area sports through the eyes of a local athlete, coach, or superfan. The Sports Couch is made possible by People's National Bank, a full-service bank with multiple locations throughout Southern Illinois to serve you. People's National Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. And made possible by Mount Vernon Title Company, your real estate closing professionals. When you need real estate closings, title searches, contract for deed, or any other legal real estate document, depend upon Mount Vernon Title Company. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. During Week 5 of the high school football season, the Mount Vernon Rams football team made the long road trip out to Akron, Ohio to take on Archbishop Hoban in a football game, a team that is ranked as one of the top teams in the state of Ohio and also received some national recognition. So they knew it was going to be a tall order. And a tall order it was. They came up short 56-13. But the Rams had a chance to see what it was like to play against Division I football players. And to be honest with you, to score 13 points against a team like that's probably saying a whole lot. It really is. And with us to talk about it right now is head coach Dan Mings. Dan, you know, your back was up against the wall when you went out there. You knew that going into the game. And you know it's going to be a tough football game. But that trip to Ohio was really a lot more than just a football game, though, wasn't it?
Well, to me it was, and I think to our kids it was. You know, it was a life experience that we got to do. You know, and going to the Hall of Fame and staying in the hotel and having a little bit of fellowship along the way, and you know that part of it was amazing. You know, the football game, we knew what that was going to be. I mean, when you're going up against a school that is not going to just any Division I, they're going to Power Fives. These guys are going to Ohio and Clemson and Alabama and Georgia and Michigan. You know, those are the kids that we were playing against, and you could tell. You know, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it took us the first quarter, you know, to adjust ourselves a little bit. You know, by that time it was like 28-6 at the end of the first quarter, and you know we scored another field goal before halftime, and we came out and we scored in the second half. Missed a 50-yarder that you know the wind took it right there at the end, right next to the goalpost. It blew it out wide right. We had things go well, you know, like you were saying, you know, when you can bust off a run of 64 yards and you can bust off a run of 74 yards and you can complete a pass of about 50 yards against their number one kids, the kids that are going those places, you know, that does say something about our ability to do things with the football, you know, so we felt good about, you know, some things. We felt bad about some things, but the one thing that stands out is, you know, to compete at a high level, you've got to spend more time in the weight room. You know, you've got to have proper nutrition, and you've got to dedicate yourself to the sport. You know, and if we have those kind of guys, then we're going to get better. If we don't have those kind of guys, then it's just going to be what it has been. You know, we're going to be a pretty solid team for Southern Illinois, and you know, try to make the playoffs and see what happens in the state playoffs. But, you know, right now, there should be an idea among our kids, we can play with anyone on our schedule, period. You know, because the people we saw, that's a different level of stuff. You know, they have recruits from all over the Eastern Seaboard, you know, and that's just what it is. But to go out and to see it and score points and bust off big plays, you know, which is what we do all the time. You know, I mean, we do get to bust off big plays. But, you know, it was a great trip. You know, it was an educational trip on a lot of different levels, you know, and you know, maybe some people are questioning, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I'm going to say, why would you not do that? And you get the educational stuff, and some of our kids, you know, that's the farthest east I've ever been in my life. You know, I've never been out there. So not only was it an experience that some of our kids may have never gotten in their entire lives, but I got to do it. The coaches got to do it. We got to get to know each other better as coaches and players, and so we're going to take that as a positive trip. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you did at the Hall of Fame. You got to meet Hall of Famer Emmett Thomas, I think, and just talk about some of the experiences and things that you did there and how that went.
Well, you know, I mean, for football people, it's like a candy store, you know, I mean, but to see Emmett Thomas, and I got to ask him some questions. Our kids asked him some questions. He was very gracious with us. The kids talked to him and got some pictures with him. So they got to meet a real life Hall of Fame guy, and he was very gracious. The whole Hall of Fame was gracious to us. I mean, we were there for 5 or 6 hours.
Wow!
And there wasn't any. I mean, we saw all the presentations and the snippets and the movies, and the bus room was just pretty phenomenal. It was just an experience that I don't think that I won't forget. I hope these boys take it with them forever. I think that's something that, in their conversations in their lives, 25, 30 years down the road, somebody talks about, Hall of Fame. I've been there. And then they get to tell the story.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's going to be what they take out of the trip.
You also got to see the field right behind where they play the Hall of Fame game and do some other things too.
Yeah, we did, and people just don't understand the difference. They just don't understand the difference. When we rolled into Canton McKinley High School, they have 9 football fields like ours here. 9.
Wow.
Okay, so when you pull in, there's 9 football fields. The power lines going across the highway, they're goalpost.
Oh, wow.
Then you drive around the corner of Canton McKinley High School, and you see the Hall of Fame, that stadium, and then you get to see the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's not the same. I mean, and people need to understand that. Southern Illinois football, I love it. I've been doing it since I was 8 years old. It's not the same, but you get what you emphasize.
Sure.
And until people around here start to emphasize football and those types of things, then we have to be happy with who we are and what we have. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but there's so much more out there, that we could do and to promote the game of football and get better here in Southern Illinois. But yet we can't recruit either.
Right. Sure.
And we talked about coaching staff. If we took the 50 best football players in Southern Illinois, not counting, the Metro East, East Side and Edwardsville and those kids.
Yeah, just Southern Illinois.
If we took the best 50, I'm not sure the score would have been any different. I'm not sure that anything would have been any different. That's just the different level that there is there.
That they're at. Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, we don't have anybody going to Ohio State or Michigan or some of those places like they have, and it's a different world. But again, kudos to the kids for working hard and scoring 13 points on them and hanging in there. And that's just an experience that they'll never forget.
Yeah, and to say we don't have anybody going to those places, we don't now.
Yeah.
Now, do we have some sophomores and a couple freshmen that if they bust their tails and they work relentlessly and tirelessly with their grades and they get in the weight room and they do some things that they need to do we have those types of kids that could grow into those abilities? I think we might. I do. I think we might. But it takes a dedication that I'm not sure that we're willing to give here. And that's not a slam. And that's not. I will be here every day. I'll come early in the morning. I'll stay late at night. I'll open the weight room. We'll get them to camps and we'll do whatever we have to do. Yeah. But they have got to want to do that as well. And I think it's just so far out of their realm of dreams. That they don't understand what they could do. If our same kids were in Chicago, Mount Carmel, or our same kids were, in some of the bigger schools around the 8A schools up north, East Side, Edwardsville, those types of things, I think that our kids may get the picture that it is possible. But it's just it's a tough sell right now because I don't think they're able to dream like that.
Yeah. Well, now when our kids watch college football on the weekends and they see these teams play on television, they'll have a little bit of an idea of knowing what that's like because they faced a little bit of that with Archbishop Hoban, so they understand, hopefully, really what it takes to get to that level.
Yeah, we're hoping they do. And, Hoban, their defensive tackles going to Michigan. Their offensive tackles going to Ohio State. Their inside linebackers going to Ohio State. Their wide receiver, defensive back, kid that wore number 1. When our game was over, they flew him to the Alabama-Georgia game, and he was on the sidelines on Alabama's sideline. Wow. So that's that's
the kind of kids they got.
That's the kind of kids they got. So when that game was over, on our sideline there was a scout there from Georgia. On their sideline there was a scout from Alabama. He got on the Alabama plane, the way I understand it, and went down to watch that Alabama-Georgia game on the sideline. So, these are kids that you may be able to see not just on Saturdays, but on Sundays, down the road, and they'll have that experience. So
that's neat.
We're gonna put that one to bed, and we're gonna move on.
That's right. Well, and we move on now to Week 6, and the Rams are now 2-3 on the season. Going to face the Cahokia Comanches, who are 4-1. Again, they're not Archbishop Hoban, but they're certainly a good football team. They are 4-1. They spanked Marion last week. They're very athletic. They are going to be playing at home. They've got a new turf field like the Rams do, and so they're a lot quicker on their new field, I'm sure, than what they were on the old pasture that we used to play on over there.
There's a lot of gopher holes over there. That's all I know. So it's better to watch on film, that's for sure. But they're incredibly fast, but they're Cahokia. They're always going to have that kind of speed. Now they've got a kid. He's a pretty special kid. I think he's maybe a Missouri recruit. Another SEC type kid that plays wide receiver for him, runs the jets, return kickoffs. He's legit. He's a good player. But it's a game right now that basically whoever wins this one is the driver's seat of the conference.
Yes, for sure.
Either way, whoever wins this one is in the driver's seat. Yeah. So. That's what we're going out there, and that is in our thoughts, that is in our minds. That's something that I think is crucial that the kids understand. This is a big game, and you need to play big in big games. Big time players make big time plays in big time games. That's what happens. Yeah. So hopefully some of our kids are going to make those big plays and give us a chance to win this football game. They're very talented. They're very fast. They're a little bit more disciplined, I think, than they have been in the past. It's just they're good on film. But, at the end of the day, we have ourselves to blame for the position that we're in. We're 10 points from being 4-1.
Sure.
But we're not. Right. We're 2-3 instead of 4-1. Right. And, we sort of have ourselves to blame for that. But, again, we're continuing to grow. We're continuing to get better with these young kids, and we're playing good football. We let our seniors go out the door yesterday, and 11 kids walked out the door. Everybody else here could be playing JV football, either freshman or JV football. So that's what we're doing. We're playing. And I know that people probably get tired of hearing that, but it's the truth. We're playing varsity football with a JV-esque type of a team, but don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we don't have varsity talent, because we do have varsity talent. It's just having the varsity knowledge
and experience
to put some things away that we didn't put away when we had a chance.
Right, exactly right. All right, coming out of that game at Hoban in Ohio, health-wise, how are the Rams heading here into week number 6?
Fairly healthy. Mally got his shoulder banged up, but he's fine. He was throwing the ball pretty good today in practice and those types of things. So I think that everybody came out of it healthy. I think we rolled some ankles, those types of things. But as a whole, we're healthy. We don't have that excuse that we're banged up and can't do things.
All right. Coach, we appreciate the visit, and best of luck against Cahokia this week.
All right, man. Thank you, Randy.